Cleveland Cavaliers have a secret weapon, and his name is Kenny Atkinson. I just wanted to show you the difference between there. But here's where the real difference is. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Cavs have started the season 6-0. And some of that has to do with Kenny Atkinson being the head coach. So let's talk about it. The whole team in general is obviously playing very good basketball. And to be fair, it is very early on in the season. So we see at times, certain teams jump out to a big start, to start the season. There was like one time where the Orlando Magic started like 7-0 and then end up either being the 8th seed or not even making the playoffs. Keep that in mind. I am not saying that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win 75 games, but this is a very good team. We know that they're very talented, and I feel like Kenny Atkinson right now is maximizing their potential. And the reason I think Kenny Atkinson is sort of their secret weapon is that when Kenny Atkinson was in Brooklyn, he turned that team around. That team was the laughingstock of the league. The Brooklyn Nets were not very good for, quite a while. And he helped make that team relevant again. Of course, Jared Allen, which is another reason we're going to get into, but Jared Allen was on that team, and Karis LeVert, and D'Angelo Russell eventually, got to that team as well. And so the players, of course, were talented and they had something to do with it. But what I'm saying is I always thought Kenny Atkinson was a really good coach, and something he always did when he coached the Nets, in my opinion, was he got them to play every possession like it was important. And we're going to get into some statistics as to how the Cavs are doing this, but I just want to give you a little background first. If you watch those Nets teams, even before they made the playoffs, but they started to, get a little bit better and stuff like that, they would always play really hard, pretty smart basketball, and it would always come down to the fourth quarter. Like, they would end up, unfortunately, losing a lot of those games because they didn't know how to close games yet because they were a really young team. But they always made it competitive. And a lot of that, or some of that rather, had to do with Kenny Atkinson's, coaching scheme and coaching style and just knowing how to coach basketball. Am I saying Kenny Atkinson is the best coach we've ever seen in our entire lives? No, but I always thought he was an underrated coach. And when he got offered this job and he took it, I was like, the Cavs got a good one, and let's talk about it. So you're probably like, well, what am I looking at? Well, this is the Cleveland Cavaliers defensive rating this season. They are 3rd in the league behind OKC and Golden State. Shout out to the Warriors, because if you watch this page, I have been high on them this season, despite a lot of people not thinking they're going to be very good. So shout out to the Warriors, number 2 in defense. This is the Cleveland Cavaliers defensive rating last season, which was 7th in the league, which is, pretty decent. Obviously number 3 is better, but the season just started. So this is the pace for this season. And right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 8th in the league in pace. If you look at this was last year. The Cleveland Cavaliers were 24th in the entire league in pace. So why is that important? Well, I actually mentioned this a few times over the last couple of seasons when the Cavs were, making the playoffs and getting bounced out. I said one of their issues was that they were playing too slow. And while every team has their own style and every team is not going to play so fast, but one of the things is that the Cavs were always close to the bottom or dead last. As you see, 24th they finished in pace, and I felt like with the team that they have, they needed to at least be top 15, top 10 in pace, because I feel like that will get them easier baskets in transition, catching the defense before it's set. Like, you don't want to play against set defenses every time you come down the floor. You're just bailing out the defense in a way because they're able to get into position. Sure, you may still score because you're talented, but you're making it 10 times harder on yourself. And so that was one of the things that I said. They should really play a little bit faster. And I'm not saying it's all Kenny Atkinson's doing, but he is the new head coach and they are making changes. And so I do feel like he has something to do with that, because when he was with Brooklyn, I don't remember or know how fast they were in the league in terms of pace. But that team, I remember, would get up and down the floor, at least from what I remember. Maybe I remember inaccurately, but I don't remember that team being slow. And now we go to offensive rating. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the second best offensive rating in the league behind the Boston Celtics. Last year, they were 16th in the league in offensive rating, which you could see right here. And so that's part of pace, but also just in general, being second in the league in offensive rating compared to 16th is a big jump. And again, I'm not saying it's all Kenny Atkinson. I think the players are obviously, learning from every year experience that they have. And obviously Darius Garland got another year of experience. And Evan Mobley, who are, two very young and talented players. And so I think all the players are making necessary adjustments from what they learned and, putting it forth in what they're, how they're playing. But I do think Kenny Atkinson has something to do with it, because I know people don't like to give coaches credit, but I feel like coaches do have, something to do with teams winning. I understand they're not out there playing, and maybe there are cases sometimes where coaches get more credit than they should, but I feel like there are also cases, and that might be the case with the Cavs. I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out. But there are, circumstances where I feel like the coaches should be getting more credit with what they're doing. And so with that being said, if they keep up this pace, Kenny Atkinson will win Coach of the Year. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the familiarity that he has with Jarrett Allen and Caris LeVert. He coached them up when they were just starting out in the league. And while I don't know what they think of him, I highly doubt if they didn't like him, that he would have been hired to coach them again. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, when someone hires a new coach, they probably asked Donovan Mitchell, what he thought about it, because Donovan Mitchell is one of the stars of the team. But they probably also asked, Caris LeVert and Jarrett Allen on their input, because they were already coached by him. So again, I don't know what their actual thoughts were on him in Brooklyn. I'm just saying, if they did not like him, they would have voiced that, you know what I'm saying? And he wouldn't be hired as a head coach. So that's all I'm saying. Not that the players get to make all the decisions on coaching. Obviously, we get that. They have input just like everybody else. I'm just saying, if he really was disliked, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't be hired. So the fact that he knows Caris LeVert and Jarrett Allen, their game so well, and how to manage their personalities. And honestly, they both seem like really laid back, nice, cool people, to be honest. So when I say manage their personalities, it's not like they have a diva personality, but I'm just saying he knows what to say, how to get the best out of them. He knows their personalities, rather. That's a better way of saying it. And so, with that being said, now that he has that familiarity, he could take that and it makes it easier to coach those two, and then just learn, more about Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. And so I think he's done a great job with the Cavs, and I think he'll start getting his recognition real soon if the Cavs keep winning.